Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to my review of tonight's edition of Monday Night Raw. And this is the Independence Day Eve edition of Raw. And of course, this is the go-home show for Great Balls of Fire, which just happened Sunday. And before I start the review, I want to take the time and wish you all a happy early 4th of July. Hope your 4th of July goes really great tomorrow. If you're barbecuing, spending time with the family. Shooting off fireworks if you have, be careful with those. But hope you all have a great 4th of July tomorrow. I know I'm going to have a good 4th tomorrow. So, yeah, so hope you all have a good 4th of July tomorrow. So, on to the Raw review. Of course, like I said, it's the go-home show for Great Balls of Fire, which is happening Sunday. And what did I think of tonight's Raw? I thought tonight's Raw was okay. Was an okay show. Was it a good show? No. Wasn't great or perfect though. But it was just an okay show. It was so-so. Like there was some good stuff that happened, some stuff that were shitty. So let's get on with it. The show opened with Enzo coming out, saying that he's been getting beaten up for the past year. With him getting locked in hotel rooms naked and being knocked out on pay-per-views, being up in hotel rooms, thrown off ladders, and he just goes on to talk, about Big Cass, saying that for 5 years, Big Cass always stood behind Enzo and watched, and Big Cass didn't have his back, didn't have Enzo's back, and Enzo goes on to say that he's the toughest guy to step through the ropes, and he goes on to say that he's confident in his abilities and that he is grateful and he believes in what he's doing. The crowd was really hot behind him. So, but he cut a good, decent promo, Enzo. And then he goes on at the end. He makes a Tupac reference, saying all eyes are going to be on him, on Enzo. Then after he makes his promo, we see Big Cass was watching backstage, watching Enzo's promo, and he gets interviewed, saying about what he thought, about what Enzo said. Big Cass says that he's never heard someone talk for so long without saying anything. And he goes on to say that Enzo thinks that he can talk the talk, but he won't be walking the walk. Then he goes on to say that Enzo thinks that he's this star, and he is just where the money is. And, Enzo ends up jumping Big Cass from behind and taking him out. And, the referees, just separate them. It was a pretty decent little brawl between Enzo and Big Cass. And it was announced earlier today that Enzo's going to be taking on Big Cass at Great Balls of Fire Sunday. So, and then after that little brawl, we saw Sasha Banks making her entrance, followed by Bayley making her entrance, and sets up a tag match. It was Alexa Bliss and Nia Jax versus Bayley and Sasha Banks. That was a decent, okay women's tag team match. You had Bayley and Nia start the match. Just Nia was just dropping Bayley around. She ends up, taking out Bayley outside the ring, and then she just kneed Bayley right where the barricade is, which sended Bayley to the back, needing help. So it was just Sasha taking on Alexa and Nia by herself, and it was pretty good by Sasha. Sasha just taking out Alexa and Nia. Then at the end you had Sasha applying the bank statement on Alexa. Alexa taps out, so Sasha and Bayley scored the win. So it sets up, set up a little little hype for Sasha and Alexa Sunday at Great Balls of Fire for the Raw Women's title. So, but all in all, it was a decent, okay match. Then we saw Braun Strowman and Kurt Angle backstage. Braun Strowman asks Kurt Angle what he's going to do when Roman Reigns, can't compete in their ambulance match at Great Balls of Fire Sunday. Kurt Angle says that Roman will make it to Great Balls of Fire. Of course he's going to make it to Great Balls of Fire. And Braun says that he wants competition, and Kurt Angle says to him that no one wants to face Braun so close to the pay-per-view. So that's a little backstage segment with them both. Then we had Cedric Alexander comes out. He's in the ring he's basically calling out Noam to come out so he could send him back along with Alicia Fox, with a neck brace, for one Noam to go back with Alicia wearing a neck brace. Noam Dar ends up coming out, and we see that Alicia Fox is back. She's still wearing that neck brace. It's good that she's back and not on FaceTime being annoying, and when Noam is in the match, just being annoying on FaceTime. So, and then of course it led to Cedric Alexander versus Noam Dar. Pretty boring match, pretty shitty match. Just the crowd wasn't even behind this match. Also, you had Alicia Fox interfering in parts of the match, calling Cedric Alexander a loser, and eventually led to Cedric getting the upper hand on Noam Dar. He beat him with a lumbar check. Cedric beat Noam Dar with a lumbar check, so to score the win. It was a boring match. It was a shitty match. Nobody in the crowd even cared for it. Then we had Miz TV. Miz, Maurice, and Curtis Axel and Bo Dallas were out there. Miz goes on to say about how he exposed the Ball family last week and that Lonzo Ball will be the biggest bust in NBA history. He then goes on to talk about Dean Ambrose, saying that Dean Ambrose was going to be the breakout star of the Shield, or the next Roddy Piper. Miz says that Dean can't handle success, and he caved under the pressure. Dean ends up coming out, says to Miz that everything Miz said about Dean about him was true, and he tells Miz that he might come down to the ring and whoop his ass anyway. And he says he wants a rematch tonight. Heath Slater and Rhino end up coming out. Heath Slater, says that he was the one who beat Miz, and Heath says he wants his opportunity, and he's been in the WWE for 8 years. He said he's got a family, he's got kids, and that he just wants the opportunity for to face Miz for the Intercontinental title, earn his opportunities for his kids. And Dean ends up saying to Heath to go to the back of the line. Then Miz says that Ambrose will get his match when he says that he wants his rematch with Ambrose. Kurt Angle ends up coming out, says that Miz can't tell when he can compete, for anything. Only Curt can make that decision. Then Miz tells that he will defend his title at Great Balls of Fire, and he tells Curt, who will he be competing with, Dean Ambrose or Heath Slater. Curt says that that Miz will compete against both, so meaning that Ambrose will get his rematch Sunday at Great Balls of Fire for the title, and that Miz will be taking on Heath Slater next, so for the title. So it was meh Miz TV. And then, eventually leads to the Miz versus Heath Slater for the Intercontinental title. It was a pretty good match. Of course, we saw Miz's pants being ripped, which, when I saw that, made me think of SpongeBob, the SpongeBob episode where he ripped his pants. And you also pulled the AJ Styles move where, AJ ripped his pants at TLC last year. Sorry about that, but I was saying, talking about Miz and Heath Slater, match for the Intercontinental title. I was saying, Miz ripped his pants in this match. Pulled the SpongeBob move, AJ Styles move, and it was really funny seeing that. He pretty much embarrassed himself, splitting his pants. It was of course a wardrobe malfunction, but you had Curtis Axel and Bo Dallas interfering. Rhino was trying to make the save for them so they don't interfere. And in the end, Miz won the match. He retains the Intercontinental title because he had the skull crushing finale on Heath Slater. And I pretty much knew Heath wasn't going to win tonight. But then after the match, Dean Ambrose, Dean was on commentary through this match tonight. But after the match, he came down. He went after Miz, but Curtis Axel and Bo Dallas took him out. Took out Dean Ambrose. So, but all in all, the Miz versus Heath Slater was a good match. It was decent. Then we had Apollo Crews and Titus O'Neil in the locker room. Titus says to Apollo that it is the perfect opportunity for him to compete against Braun Strowman tonight. So it's a little locker room segment. And then it was Goldust in the ring out for world premiere segment that he called the Shattered Truth. And he thanks all the people there. And he thanks R-Truth for being so naive and his selfishness. And he goes to say that none of this would have been possible if it wasn't for R-Truth. And he ends up showing this little film, which was just Goldust beating up R-Truth. And then when the whole short film was over, R-Truth was shown in the ring behind Goldust. He threw R-Truth threw popcorn at Goldust and then just started beating up Goldust. Goldust ran into the post. So it was a okay segment, not perfect or anything. Although I did like the music in the beginning of the Goldust short little film, which I like that piece of music that they used. And then we see Sheamus and Cesaro with Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle says to them that there will be a 30-minute Iron Man match at Great Balls of Fire. So it's going to be both Sheamus and Cesaro versus the Hardys for the Raw Tag Team titles in a 30-minute Iron Man match this Sunday. And Cesaro goes on to say that he wants some competition. Kurt Angle says, why not Braun Strowman? Cesaro says that he wants Finn Balor. So Curt ends up making the match for him tonight. So it's a little backstage segment with Sheamus and Cesaro and Kurt Angle. And then we see, after that, we see the next match. It's Seth Rollins versus Curt Hawkins. Before the match, Hawkins says that he should be facing Braun Strowman. Yeah, okay. And that he said, Curt says that he wasn't happy with how the LA crowd was to him last week, and he asked the Phoenix crowd, because they were in Phoenix tonight. He asked the crowd, do they think that he will win the match tonight? And Seth steals the mic, saying to the crowd, "How many of you think Hawkins should shut up?" And the crowd was just cheering. And then Seth then hits Hawkins with the mic, and it leads to the match: Seth Rollins versus Curt Hawkins. Do I need to tell you all who wins this match? So, but if you want to know who wins the match, description, in it's in the description below. It's in the match results below. Do I need to say more? It was a shitty match. Then after the match, Seth just talks about Bray Wyatt, saying that at Great Balls of Fire Sunday, he's going to prove that Bray Wyatt is not a god, and if Bray is just a man or just a coward. So it's a little good promo from Seth Rollins. And then we get to the Samoa Joe Brock Lesnar questioning. Michael Cole was questioning both Joe and Lesnar. Joe says to Cole that he doesn't need to answer the questions that Cole is going to be asking them, and that Joe is going to give the questions to Lesnar. They bicker back and forth. Lesnar says that on Sunday he's going to be walking in the champ and walking out the champ, with the Universal title. Joe says that Lesnar has done nothing, and Joe just says, bring it, let's go, let's do it now. And then Joe gets up, he's ready to go, he's looking for Lesnar, and Curt Angle and the security try to stop him, but Joe ends up finding the room where Lesnar is at, just wanting to attack Lesnar, but the security ends up backing him away. And it would have been cool if, there was another brawl to hype up the match even more for Sunday. And gotta say, this was one of my favorite Lesnar feuds. I think this is a whole lot better than his feud with Goldberg. So, but I'm definitely looking forward to Joe and Lesnar. It's going to be a crazy match on Sunday. Will I think Joe will be walking out with the Universal title? Maybe not, but we'll just have to wait and see Sunday. So, but it was pretty good. It was a pretty good segment with Joe and Lesnar. Then after that we had Neville versus Mustafa Ali. This was a okay, decent match. You had back and forth action between Neville and Mustafa, and you had Mustafa hit Neville with a nasty DDT. Pretty much for the 5 minutes that happened, you saw just Neville like holding his head. He got it hit pretty bad, and then you had Mustafa going up to the top rope, and then Neville just pushed him off outside of the ring. Mustafa went face first into the barricade, and pretty much Neville got the win with the Rings of Saturn on Mustafa to win the match. So Neville is heading into his match for the Cruiserweight title against Akira Tozawa Sunday at Great Balls of Fire, which that's going to be a pretty good match. I'm definitely looking forward to that. So, but all in all, Neville and Mustafa Ali, it was an okay, decent match. Then we see Bray Wyatt cutting a promo. He's in the desert, saying that he's everywhere, and he tells Rollins that he's everywhere. Just basically doing like this, the stuff that he always does with the believers, and he ends up saying that this Sunday Seth will look into the eyes of God, meaning him. So, but it was a okay promo. Wasn't the absolute greatest. And then after that, we saw Alexa Bliss being interviewed, saying if she's worried about Sasha Sunday going into the match. Alexa says that she let Sasha win tonight, and she says she doesn't believe, she doesn't care what anybody thinks, because Sunday she will walk out. She will still walk out as the Raw Women's Champion. So it was a little interview. So, and then it was Cesaro versus Finn Balor. My opinion, best match of the night, in my opinion. Just back and forth between both of them. You had the Hardy Boys on commentary through the match. Sheamus was at ringside watching it. and it was pretty good. And then you had Elias Sampson trying to interfere in the match. He was just outside trying to let Finn lose the match. But you had Sheamus on the apron. The ref was dealing with him. Elias just trips Finn. The Hardys come down. They beat up on Elias, and Sheamus beats on Matt Hardy, and then Cesaro was out there beating up Jeff Hardy, and then Finn Balor just does that flip outside of the ring. He takes out everybody. He takes out Elias, and he takes out the Hardys, Sheamus, Cesaro, and then Cesaro got the win. Well, not Cesaro. Finn Balor got the win with the coup de grace on Cesaro to score the win. So it was a good match. In my opinion, the best match of the night. Both Cesaro and Finn put on a good match. And then we had the main event, which was a shitty main event. Braun Strowman versus Apollo Crews. Before the match, Braun Strowman ends up coming out saying that there was nothing more that he likes than hurting Roman Reigns. He ends up calling Roman stubborn, and that he's gonna leave like he did last week in the back of an ambulance at Great Balls of Fire. And Braun says that he still wants competition, and he tells Kurt Angle to send out whoever it is right now. Titus O'Neil ends up coming out, says to Braun that he's going to have more competition than Braun could ever imagine, and that guy eventually is Apollo Crews. So led to the match, Braun Strowman versus Apollo Crews. Very shitty main event. Apollo Crews just got buried in this match. Trying to make Strowman look really strong, head into the ambulance match. Apollo just got destroyed here. Braun Strowman got the win with 2 running power slams and also another slam to Apollo Crews to win the match. You had a part of the match where Apollo was going to attempt to hit a moonsault on Braun, but Braun just had his feet up and just kicked Apollo to the side of the ring where the apron is. It was a crazy hit though. So Braun Strowman got the win. After the match, Titus O'Neil gets on the apron, and he's talking trash to Strowman. He ends up getting in the ring with Strowman. Starts going after Strowman. Strowman ends up hitting Titus with a nasty clothesline, and he hits Titus with a power slam. He then takes Apollo Crews through the crowd, carries him to the ambulance, Braun tosses Apollo into the ambulance, closes the door, and trying to send off the ambulance, but the ambulance doesn't go off, and very predictable here. We see Strowman walk near the door of the ambulance to the front. Roman Reigns then ends up coming out of the ambulance, attacking Braun Strowman. Braun ends up hitting Roman, and Braun ends up throwing Roman on the stage. We see Roman then throw Strowman into the screen that was on the stage, and then Roman just spears Strowman off the stage through 2 tables, which was crazy. And then we saw Roman end up getting up, and then we actually saw Braun Strowman end up getting up. He got slammed through, he got speared through 2 tables, and Braun Strowman ends up getting up. I'm like, wow, that's crazy. How did Strowman get up from being speared through 2 tables off the stage? But that ended the show. That was pretty crazy. though. But I gotta say, it was a lot. That little brawl between Strowman and Roman, much better than the main event match between Strowman and Apollo Crews. What a shitty main event. So, but yeah. So, anyways, that's it for my review of tonight's edition of Monday Night Raw. Thank you all for watching. Of course, there will be no SmackDown review tomorrow night. I'm going to be celebrating the 4th of July. And probably my SmackDown review will be up on Wednesday, along with my Lucha Underground review Wednesday night. So expect 2 reviews on Wednesday. So until those videos, I'll see you all later. And be sure to give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video. And happy 4th of July to all of you tomorrow. Like I said, hope you all have a good one. So until the next video, I'll see you all later. Bye.